Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. This is a Gunners Town pub podcast. So please bear in mind, we've just watched the game. We're going to go through the game. We might get a little bit animated with our language, and obviously we've all had a few drinks here as well. Well, we beat Fulham 3-0. Yeah, great start, really. We'll start off with the lineup. A few people started having a whinge about with the lineup. El Nini starting. Pretty much expected that Willian would start, and he was in for Pepe. Gabriel started as well, and there was no Martinez, Ozil, or Guendouzi in the starting lineup. So, what was everyone's thoughts pre-game?
Shall I go first? Because I think that I've got to be honest, I was surprised to see Gabriel. I thought we'd have William Saliba in there because he's been at the club longer. Yeah. Gabriel has only just recently joined. He's the older of the two, and perhaps he's played more games. So on paper, it looked a little bit more like it makes sense once it got into it. But I thought it would be Saliba first. Saliba not even in the squad, but I guess that just shows the wealth of depth of players and quality players that we've got.
I thought we'd see today, though, Chris, as well. Arteta in the presser was talking about Saliba needing to be integrated slowly, and he was just talking that way, and I guess nobody really picked up, and I didn't pick up on it, but that must have been alluding to today, you know.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Mohamed El Neni, and I was surprised to see. I thought we'd see Pepe. I don't know why. I thought we'd see Pepe instead of Willian because I thought that he'd ease him in, but what we saw today shows that he didn't need to ease him in at all, did he?
Nah. I think I'm glad I saw Willian starting, to be honest. I like the competition that's happening there, and the intimations that Willian would somehow be like a squad player or like a second string player. The guy's just got too much experience, and he's done more in like a game than I think Ozil did all of last season.
Yeah, well, again, Paul, we had the situation last year. That's what Arteta said in the press, didn't he? He said that Willian, he said he can't have a creative player that's 20, 21. He needs a player that's ready to go and step in, and that's exactly what we saw, isn't it?
Oh, no. Well, it's fucking brilliant. Let's be honest. Do you know what I mean? Let's not mince our words. Do you know what I mean?
That free kick that came off the post. I know we'll probably touch on some of those kind of things later. Yeah. But to have somebody like that in the team that can do that, it's ridiculous. I mean, it was such an amazing kick. It really was.
Like I say, I don't think no one's surprised. I mean, Martinez is rumoured that Brighton, Villa, and indeed another unknown club are putting in for him. So whether or not there's an issue with him or whether or not he's just getting kicked off the bench because that's an imminent transfer, like I say, we'll probably have to leave that to a blog where we're not talking about the game. Ozil, no surprise, not there. Guendouzi, no surprise, not there. Right, let's move on to the formation. Now, we're going to stick to try and do these half-hour pods, which is bloody difficult, do you know what I mean? But we're going to try and do it, gents, do you know what I mean? I've got the notes about the formation. Now, me and Mike can talk formation, and probably Paul and Chris as well, but until probably about next Thursday, right? So if we just leave it to the fact that the formation, the notes I've got here from the game, formation with the ball was a 4-3-3. Formation without the ball was a 5-2-3. The times I've changed my mind about what formation we actually had was about 2-4-4. So I think it's pretty much keen to say, and hopefully you boys agree with me, that the formation was very, very fluid today and very organised. And I think that's only down to one man, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's been that way, Gav, since the restart in particular, since he's got this team organised. We've seen it's hard actually unless you watch it twice. You've done a good job there, Gav, picking that out, because I've got all kinds of notes for the blog I'm about to write, but I did not pick up so much on what you picked up on there because it changes so often the game. That's what I do notice, is because I see players picking up new positions, whether it's Xhaka in the middle, Xhaka back in the back three, building up play. That lovely ball to Aubameyang in the first half came from there. And the thing just is this hybrid thing. We are now a hybrid team. That's our label, I think. And yeah. Arteta's wanting players that can play different positions, who are fluid. He's changing it throughout the game. The players, I think, after a while, are shifting themselves without the instruction. So that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, perfect example of that.
Sorry, Gav. To add to that, Mike, is I'm seeing, from the different opposition that we're up against, I see that Arteta has given very specific tasks to certain players, even from Lacazette to Nketiah to Ainsley Maitland. Like they will shadow a person, and they're following and they're man marking and they're picking up their player and they're indicating at what point you now take over this guy, he's in your zone, and I'm going to switch to this other guy, and so we're not overlapping too much, And that communication I thought was amazing, because there's a lot of following people around, but there was also a lot of communication about, you got the wide player, I'm going to stay here, or I'm on this guy. So that was good to see. There's apart from
on top of that point, Paul, I would even add, just to build on that thought. I love what Paul said there, and I've been thinking for a while what an advantage it is that there's no crowd for Arteta at this moment, because I think Paul said on Twitter, I was reading at halftime his tweets, and I think it was Paul who mentioned that how loud Arteta is, and he can be heard, and of course he's constantly coaching, and so during this period where he's got a brand new team and a brand new coach and brand new style, he's able to help these boys, just like Paul said, and this is been assisted by the fact that there's no crowd noise for them.
I think one of the things that I found fascinating was the position that Ainsley Maitland-Niles took up at times, because he was almost acting like an inside forward at times, which I found really interesting, because there was multiple times when Aubameyang is actually further out wide than Maitland-Niles is, and Maitland-Niles is in between Aubameyang and Lacazette. I thought that was fascinating, but this rotation of players and positions was really evidenced, I think, in the second half. When Aubameyang was put through, I think it was by Willian, and he went round the keeper, and that guy Hector, who I think should have been sent off for a clear push he was already on a yellow, but he rounded the keeper and Hector headed it off the line. But actually, that run, Aubameyang started his run from central. Now we're all led to believe, and I've got a phone which has got my the formations on it, that we've got Aubameyang playing on the left, and everyone's talking about how Aubameyang, he wants to play central. Well, he was playing central in that position. So I think this fluidity has probably helped Arteta's discussion with him to say, look, you're not going to play left wing. My formations, I've got Ainsley Maitland-Niles playing inside you at times. I've got Xhaka playing as a centre half or a left back. Like, this is fluid, this is rotational, and that's probably why Aubameyang's loving it.
Amen.
Yeah, no, so I mean, to give another example of what you just said there, Chris, and like I say, because I'm playing host, I've written notes. On the 15th minute, there was a great example of that, but actually with Bellerin on the other side, where Bellerin's actually sort of, the ball's gone forward, and Bellerin, he's sort of almost in the middle of the pitch, and he's sort of like, there's a dagger ball to him that went out wide, and he's sort of like done a diagonal run towards the wing, and he's just sort of opening up. It's this whole, and again, like I say, we could probably speak an hour on whether or not players were playing as fullbacks, wing backs, or inverted fullbacks. And there were some points in the second half which I really enjoyed, where we had both left side and the right side. We had both Bellerin, Maitland-Niles, literally in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
So anyways, right. First goal, Paul. We're going to let you talk us through the first goal. 8 minutes. Go for it.
That was a couple of gins ago. All I remember is, really, I'm working it really nicely out to the left-hand side, and then it cut back in, and there was a bit of a goal-mouth scuffle, and I think Willian came really, really close to scoring there. Keeper got a hand to it, and Lacazette was luckily onside when Willian toe poked it, and so he kind of tapped it into the net. It was a great goal, and I think it had been building up. I mean, we're in the minute before that, I think that they'd had a pretty good chance. I think that Leno had saved. So it was one of those moments where we've turned like a really poor kind of event into some, you've done like a complete flip and maximized, the turning and scoring a goal.
I mean, the whole of the first half was close possession-wise. I mean, I think we edged it by 52 to 48%, or 51.5%, whatever website you're reading. So it was close. It was close for that. I don't think I sort of come out of the first half thinking I wish we'd got more possession, Chris. Did you, or was you just kind of happy with how it was going?
Oh, do you know what? Exactly the same. Fulham, I was really surprised because Fulham last season were a possession-based football team, and I thought to myself, "There's no way they're going to play us and try and keep the ball on the carpet and try and just work the ball around us." But even in the first 5 minutes, up until when we scored the goal, I don't know how you feel about this, and Mike, I guess you could jump in a second as well on that. I felt like they were working the ball really well, particularly on their right-hand side, now left-hand side. The amount of times it was the one-touch football that was coming inside, and they were trying to get in behind Tierney. I was thinking to myself, we could be in trouble here, lads. We could really be in trouble. But I think we got the goal. As soon as we got the goal, it felt like we started to impose ourselves. But up until that point, and in the first half, possession-wise, it was pretty even, wasn't it?
Both teams were playing one touch from the off. That's one of my notes that I made. I've never seen Arsenal play that much one touch, but both teams.
Yeah.
And Chris makes a really good point there that it was on that left side, and they got around. There was even a 1-on-2, and they got around that and put a dangerous ball in. So that could cause us trouble moving forward against a team that's going to put more men in the box and be more dangerous in the final third. But that's I heard a stat on the American feed here saying that they had more possession last season, Fulham, than any other team, which surprised me because of Leeds. But they had the fourth least chance creation, and they got to the playoffs. And you saw that today with them. So,
they weren't creating much, were they? Like I say, even the first half when they had literally 48.5% possession, they weren't. It was down to our defending. Let's be honest, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, this is our defending, mate. This is how Arteta was setting them up with almost another formation, which was almost a flat five.
Yeah. It was very solid. Solid was the word today, wasn't it? We didn't ever really look like we were going to concede. Maybe, like Chris said, the opening part of the game was a little edgy at times, but they still didn't look like they were gonna score, bar that Gabriel lack of communication. So that's, welcome to the new Arsenal. It's just
loving it.
Do you know what? When fans talk about their team and Arsenal fans talk about Arsenal, it's always talking about on the ball and moving forward. But I am now all on board and happy to talk about the fact that we looked like after that first goal that game was over, and I don't remember that feeling since early Wenger.
I think our structure in defence it has been transformed. Honestly, you can just see people. There's a comfort, there's a calmness, and also, I have to point out, so many times when Fulham were looking like they were going to threaten, Aubameyang was back there. He was sometimes the last line of defense. He was back, helping out with Tierney or whoever it was. Just the whole time, just running back, defending. Just no questions asked, and that was, it just all helps. Is that it's like you said, that flat five structure, and then these guys picking up the loose ball, not allowing them to turn, blocking off the through balls and stuff. It was.
It was good to see. The only thing that I've got written down in my notes from the second half is the free kick on the 25th minute. So, like I say, which kind of goes to how the rest of the first half went. Free kick for, against Lacazette on the edge of the box. Our man Hector from Fulham received his first yellow on the 25th minute. I think he probably done about another 4 fouls after that. I don't know how he stayed on the fucking pitch, if I'm being honest. Anyway, Willian steps up, bangs it against the post. If anything, he hit it too well. He had a little bit too much curl on it.
Oh yeah.
But it seems to me, Chris, is that Willian is down to be doing all the corners, all the free kicks. Do you know what I mean? He might be taking the fucking throw-ins in a minute. Do you know what I mean? Is everything on Willian now?
Oh, do you know what's interesting? Certainly Willian, but did you notice as well, Tierney taking long throws? We are very adaptable. We've got Tierney taking long throws. You've got Pepe, who's got his style of striking the ball for corners. He takes that little sort of run up, and then he's very, very flat corner. So that's good. You've got Willian, who's got a slightly different approach in the way that he strikes the ball. So we've got variation in our team. I think if I can just take a minute, just because you guys were talking about the defensive side of it, can we just wax lyrical for a minute on Gabriel? Because I didn't realise, I've read a few things and listened to a few things about how, big lad, strong lad, good in the air. And I thought, okay, well, we'll see. But he won a lot of I saw him nod the ball away multiple times. But the thing that really impressed me is on duels. He's like the anti-Mustafi. He just doesn't go down. He just stands up and says, go on then, beat me. Go on then, beat me. You can't beat me. See you later. Brilliant.
I think
I loved it.
He put a marker down, didn't he? Because literally the first sort of high ball that Fulham pumped in, he won it. Yeah. I thought literally he'd had the measure of their centre forwards, literally from about the 5th or 6th minute. I mean, it's always going back to the old-fashioned days where Keanu Adams would stick one on them early. I mean, that was the modern equivalent when he's got a clean, crisp header on it. Anyway, we're going to start with the first half goes in. Second half, obviously, we're expecting some kind of reaction from Fulham. And Chris, we've got you down to talk through the 47th and the 48th minute now.
Okay, so you're the way. Just for anybody that's listening, Gav is absolutely trying to chuck me a curveball here because I spent the entire time on Twitter bemoaning Rob Holding's distribution. I thought Rob Holding, as a whole game, did all right. He did all right, except he cannot pass. His distribution is horrendous. It's horrendous. The first touch in the first half was him putting it out for a goal kick. But let's talk. I'll talk nicely about Rob Holding though. His little juggle before we won the corner was fantastic. And do you know what's interesting? Again, like we were talking about players and positions. That's Rob Holding in the sort of just on the edge of the attacking third. That's our centre half in the edge of the attacking third.
Yeah, he's in the number 10 position, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So we haven't got so that was fantastic to see. And then the corner again, it's a really good ball from Willian. And I thought that Gabriel had just done a proper old school centre half, nod it in like thumping header, and then you see it's off the shoulder, and you're almost a bit like, oh, it just didn't feel as pure. Like I thought he just banged it between the keeper's leg. But
they fucking count, don't they, Chris? Come on.
Yeah, with it to the ground, you can't beat that. So I'm going to give you 1 second, just because it's his debut and he scored a goal and all that stuff. But here's some of Gabriel's stats. Okay, so passes 107 out of 113, 94.7, most touches in Arsenal. Succeeded at 107. The 6 that he didn't succeed were forward passes, where he got 51 out of 57. Okay, as far as the defensive thing. Tackles 2 out of 2, clearances 3 out of 3, headed clearances 3 out of 3, aerial duels 1 out of 2, and 1 foul committed and 2 suffered. I mean, for debut, those are pretty damn good things.
Can I just say, sorry, Mike, just for 2 secs.
Go ahead.
Do you think? Again, I'll ask you. Actually, I'll ask all of you guys this. Do you think we have to caveat by saying it's only Fulham?
No. No. I mean, my one on that one is. You don't really want to be going away to a team who have just been promoted.
Yeah,
I thought they've got a lot to prove. I mean, they've got a lot to prove to themselves, their manager, etc. I think that was a potential banana skin, especially the way the Fulham are playing.
But also because of a conspiracy, it's exactly the kind of game that the planners would set up so that Arsenal could. Fall on their face in the first game and be at the bottom of the table, losing to a newly promoted side. You can read these stories. That's how it's set up.
Can I add to Paul's thoughts on Gabriel? There was something that I noticed, that a little tactical point that could completely transform Arsenal's season. And I don't know if it was intentional. I don't know if it's just his style or if he's been told to do this. Well, first of all, to continue to brag on him, he doesn't play centre back of a back three, or he didn't last year at Lille. So the fact that he's come in and he hasn't been asked to play on the left side of the central three, and he's been asked to play in the middle, a brand new role, which is normally the guy that has to communicate, and he can't speak English, and he played that well. Oh my gosh! But here's the piece that I picked up on. You remember last season how when they were countering us, David Luiz would drop off, and he'd bring everybody back with him. That didn't happen. Did you notice that? That's why they weren't given free pot shots at our goal. Gabriel would drop off and stop between the back of the centre circle and the top of our box, so in that dead space about 40 yards down, hold the line, because now we've got pace at the back. In fact, we had pace always all throughout the whole entire back five without take Holding out of the equation, but he stopped. And if we can continue to do that, we'll continue to concede less opportunities on our goal this season, and that's huge if we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, what's going to be?
Sorry, Chris, but Leno, playing in a slightly more advanced like sweeper keeper thing when that's happening too, that also just gives us more options. It's covering that area, and sorry, Chris.
No, I was just going to say, I got SofaScore as my as the app that I obviously look at from the stats perspective, and you see from the average playing positions how deeper Gabriel was, just to Mike's point, compared to the other two. So Tierney's obviously pushed out a little bit further left. You've got Holden that's pushed out a little bit closer towards El Neni, who actually I thought, I'm not a fan of El Neni, and a fellow person of this fraternity would probably be spitting into his pint right now. But I actually thought he had a good game.
Yeah, he did. No, the other piece with El Neni that I noticed that Xhaka's biggest struggle is that El Neni opened his hips. Do you remember that free kick? Well, I guess it was the free kick that Willian hit the post. That was playing out from the back, and the ball came into El Neni in a position where Xhaka would have hit it back to where it came from. And El Neni opened his hips. That's such a tiny little detail. But without a central midfielder opening his hips when he receives it from the wing, you can't switch the field. And Arsenal are scoring goal after goal and creating most of their opportunities by switching play, hence the third goal, which I know we're going to come on to here shortly, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, before we get to the third goal, which you're going to go through for us, Mike, 54th minute, Bellerin, when he got booked for rugby tackling that fella, right? Now, fair enough. But when he put his arms out to say, what, I don't even think it's a free kick, man. Like, do you know what I mean? The fucking Jesus Christ. I mean, I just thought that was just a rugby tackle. Anyway, Mike, we're going to get on to the third and final goal. I mean, do you want to take it from the start of the build up?
Yeah. Well, I've only seen it once because, of course, the replays, I'm too busy running around the living room like we probably all were, right? So I've got to go from memory. I do remember it was yet again playing out from the back, from the very, very back, nice and calm, composed. The piece that I remember beyond El Neni, I believe, opening his hips again, which really was helpful, was Lacazette, because Lacazette had a very Lacazette game. It was good, bad and ugly. And often when the ball comes into Lacazette, you see him struggle and fight. And this is how I close my eyes and think about Lacazette. I always see him fighting players. Nothing seemed to come too easily for him, but he held that ball up and laid it off. And that set up the next pass, and then when went to the switch across the field. And, other teams are going to have to consider what they do now against Arsenal. And this is nice because it looks like we're getting so good at this playing out from the back that if you allow us to do it and we get to the halfway line, and then you've got the centre forward making that diagonal run, pulling the back 2 or 3 with him, leaving Aubameyang wide open. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's almost like a 60-40 in Aubameyang's favour from 20, 15 yards that he's going to put that in the far corner because he's done it, 3 or 4 times in the last 6 months.
And how's that spin, that shot? He's mastered that thing. It's just the weirdest. It just seems so gently.
Effortless.
It's just effortless. Yeah, it's effortless.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, while we like to see goals like that, we've also got to bear in mind in the future that teams are going to sort of know, really, look, he's going to start off on the left, we're going to be placing diagonal balls, and then he's going to cut inside and have a smack, right?
He's done it anyway.
He's pushing them away like Henri, mate. Do you know what I mean? Let's not mince about with that. What I actually liked about that movement is if you go back and freeze it, right, at the point he's let go and he's had his shot, you've got Kieran Tierney running down the left, right? Mm-hmm. You've got Laka and I believe Maitland-Niles who are literally just queuing up for it as well. So it's not the fact that teams know how they can defend against that movement that we're doing in the future. It's the fact that there was options. He could have very, very easily done a slide to Tierney. Tierney could have whacked it across the middle. And we've got 2 players in the box as well. Yeah. Now, Paul, this is down to training, isn't it, Paul? This is down to they must be practicing this ball.
I think it's that, and it's about belief, Gav. I think that if you know that you can hurtle forward and have 5 attacking players, when the ball is up there and it's heading into their attacking third, and you've got everybody bombing forward, it's because you know that you're not leaving the shop door open. You know what I mean? To be looted when you turn around, and I think it gives those attacking players like a sense of like, I'm going to be there at the back post, the far post, cut back, in the box. I don't think there were any moments that we didn't have. Well, there was one. Willian had the ball on the break, which was amazing because he played it out from the back and then they fouled him. But he looked up, and it was like the first time in the game that I don't think that there was really any support for him. The rest of everyone's there. And I mean, it's just confidence and belief, I think.
100%. I think the unpredictability, as we've kind of talked about, is a really important thing. And you've just said it, Gav. It's not that Aubameyang. It's not that if you close Aubameyang down and there's anyone, Maitland-Niles, Tierney, maybe you've even got someone like Bellerin. There's so many, not Bellerin. Someone like Willian, who's then playing. He played more centrally today. So let's just say he then overlaps. There's just so many different options that it's very difficult to defend against. And I played goal when I was younger, and you're always told to close the angle. So it's not like the keeper can even stand on the line because the ball's not right in the postage stamp. And so at first, when you look at that, you think, well, how's the keeper not sort of just, let his defenders deal with it? But his defenders are screening, and you can't help yourself. You naturally come out to close the angles. And so then you've got a striker of Aubameyang's quality, and he'll just put that away.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm the same. And the thing that got me as well is the fact that if Aubameyang's coming off like that, and like I say, I mean, that's got to be his favourite move. I mean, that's going to be his trademark goal.
Signature.
Exactly, right? So the defender's actually going to have to get on the right side of him to block the right shot. How much fucking space is Tierney going to get? Is Kieran actually going to get down the left there? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like it's almost like a double bluff. It really, really is. Anyway, I'll go through the rest of my notes on that I've put down for the rest of the game. 74th minute, Willian went off. Pepe come on. 77th minute, Aubameyang had a shot cleared off the line after being forced wide by the keeper. 78th minute, Xhaka got off after being stepped on by who?
Hector,
yeah. And Danny come on. I thought Danny looked lively, didn't he, Mike?
Yeah, he did look lively. That little cheeky nutmeg, and he's full of confidence. I was surprised he didn't start, but I actually made a note myself that I love the fact that El Neni started, not because I'm in love with El Neni, and I do rate him higher beyond what other people do, but I like the fact that he played really well in the Community Shield and he got to start again, because that sends a message. I can tell you as a coach, if you can implement that, and you have to be very brave to do that, is, boys, if you play well in the game and you show up at practice as well, you will get to start and you'll hold your place no matter what your name is. And the fact that he started spoke to that accountability more to me than the name of El Neni or Ceballos or whoever it might be in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I think that, obviously everybody saw there was a little altercation between Eddie and Danny before the game. I'm putting that down to the fact that both of them were a bit frustrated that they weren't actually starting. So I mean, Paul, do you think they've both got a sort of a right to expect to start, or you agreeing with Mike here? Really, you got to earn your place, yeah. I
think you ought to earn your place with Arteta. I really do, and I think also, because Arteta is smart, I think that there may be games where he will favour somebody else, and he'll make it quite clear to the player, I'm playing this player in this game because I think from a tactic point of view, this is how we need to attack it. I think that he's got that kind of complexity and that ability to communicate that, So I do think that there's going to be some rotation. The games are still, thick and fast. It's going to be a tough season.
Can I ask you both a question in regards to that? Do you, because the transfer window doesn't close for another 3-4 weeks, do you think that Lacazette started to maintain or raise his value and interest in him? Because I know that goes on in the professional game. Coaches either choose to do that themselves, or the higher ups encourage them to play certain players so that their market value it goes up. And of course, Lacazette will arguably go up a tad today if that even is a thing, because he scored and played fairly well. What do you think, boys?
I think not only Lacazette, it's not so much even Lacazette, because I think he's going to be too pricey in this COVID market. I actually think El Neni is in the shop window, and he didn't do us any not favors. He didn't do himself any problems in terms of, if we're going to move him on and find a buyer. That's exactly what we want. We want to win. And if we're going to move on players because we need the money, a performance like that from El Neni, not my favourite player. I thought it was all right. I thought he just did the basics well, and he did well today, and I was happy with that. Fine, we move on. But I think El Neni, shifting him on, you just show him a highlights reel to any prospective buyer. Yeah, and then also Rob Holding, because I think Rob Holding's going to move on as well. I didn't think he had the best long distribution game, but there's a couple of bits in there where he did all right.
So you can say that they're Arsenal first choice players. You're selling a first team player because they're playing in the first team. Yeah.
I don't think they're being shop windowed at all. I think Lacazette and El Neni are those kind of Marmite players that they get zero thanks. But they perform such a specific role. It's the dirty role. It's the one that doesn't get any of the glory, but it's the one, it's those pivotal things, the little cog that works and beats. And I think Lacazette does it up front. He does more than enough of a job running around, disrupting. The little things he's just very committed, and I think he's at the moment he's better than Eddie. We've got we need goals to get anywhere in the Premier League, and I think Lacazette is more likely to get them. I think he's a conference player, and I think this is all helping for him. El Neni, I think, is just one of those utility guys. I remember even when he was with our squad earlier, there were times that he came in and rescued us for like periods when we had major injuries. I can't remember who they were, probably Ramsey, and but he came in and did a job, and I think he's that guy, and I think he knows you need them in the team. So
yeah, I mean, like I say, we'll see. There's still probably about another 3 or 4 weeks with regards to the transfer window. The remaining notes I've got for this game is on the 82nd minute, there was yet another foul that could have been booked by
Hector,
yeah. And in the 86th minute, Laka come off, Eddie come on for the remainder of the game. And I thought that actually that Danny, Pepe, and Eddie actually looked quite lively at the end. I think it was a little bit unlucky we didn't get the fourth. The game finished with us 55% commission, 55% possession. Keown gave Gabriel man of the match. Let's not chat about this because we're nearly up on the half an hour mark. But we'll just go one at a time. Man of the match, Paul.
I think Gabriel. Yeah.
Chris.
Willian.
Mike.
Willian.
It's a 3-1, Paul, I'm afraid. We're going for Willian. I could see. No, I mean, nobody's going to disagree to Keown to his face, but like I say, you ain't here to fucking right. Anyway, gentlemen, this has been half an hour in the Gunners Town pub after the game. It's just great. It's just I thought it was fucking brilliant. Anyways,
a good start.
Have a good rest of the weekend, boys. Let's hope that fucking Tottenham lose.
Yeah, up the Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal.
Come on, you Gunners.